We're going to cover locations and how they're used in therms. Locations are posts or sites or locations. You may have a different definition depending on your company, but essentially a location is somewhere where a security officer works. A location in therms holds information such as post orders, Passdowns, BOLOs, maps, tasks, contacts, files, in and out log, dispatch records, and reports. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover a few of the things that you see on this dashboard here. I'm logged into my demo account, and depending on your organization settings, yours may look a little bit different than mine. I have a few settings that are activated here. So I have groups and I have zones activated. I'm also using location types here. And so these are all optional configurations that you can set up depending on how you've done that. If you go into the locations and you select settings, you can enable service types and you can enable location groups. And we'll cover that here in a little bit more detail. Zones, in a very near future release, this will be a map and how you can divide up maybe your city or the county that you're providing security services into, and you can drop pins for these locations and where they're at. So we'll first start by going into one of our locations. I'm going to click on this Spokane Arena Complex here. This is called a location card, and this is giving me some quick information about it. I've got the location ID or location number, which is Arena 1, the name of the location, and the zone that it's in, District A1, and its address. These gray ones here, these are actually location service types. So when that setting is turned on, you can assign and create location service types. And this may be helpful for just knowing what type of service your security operations are providing to that location. So this one gets on call. It also has static guard, camera monitoring, and alarm response. And these blue chips are location groups. So these can be helpful for grouping together locations that have something in common. So for example, if your security operations provides armed and unarmed services, you may have a location grouped for armed only, and one that may or may not require security clearances. So we'll still cover that in a little bit more detail here coming up, but first thing I want to go through is the options that you have, or the sub-modules underneath the location. So if I'm going to click on duty here, I see a list of pass down, post orders, service, and tasks. The first one we'll cover is pass downs. So pass downs are a little piece of information that are, maybe they don't go into a security report or a BOLO, but it's something that's important that you want the next security officer coming on shift to know about. And this can be anything from, hey, the door code changed, or check in with a supervisor when you arrive on shift, or do something special, or read my report from last Tuesday because there's some important information in there. So you can create pass downs that can be assigned access levels and that kind of thing. There's also historical pass downs. So if I look at an old one here, this one has an access level for level 2 supervisors. That means if a user doesn't have an access level of level 2 or higher, they would not be able to see this pass down. And this just says, shift supervisor, please ensure static postcards have the security clearance badge on the person at all times while on property. Building staff have complained that they're not seeing all uniformed guards wearing a badge. So this is a pass down that's being passed on from one supervisor to the next. If I go to the next pass down in the historical records here, I see this is just a regular access level pass down, meaning everybody can see it. And it's got some important information: construction remodel on east end of the building. Oncoming shift check-in with superintendent or foreman to get the shift schedule. And then power went out twice during today's shift. Backup generators kicked on as expected. So just some important information. Now these show up in the past list here because they're not current. Once a pass down has expired, which is 7 days, it gets moved to the past. So if I create a new pass down right here, and I say some information, and I save it, it's going to show up under this pass down list for 7 days, or until I create a new pass down of that same access level. More new information. So this pass down replaced the one that I just had recently created. There can only be one pass down active at a time for an access level. So if I create one for a supervisor, there will be multiple pass downs. Again, this is the access level for the pass down. So we'll move on to post orders. Post orders are self-explanatory. These are pieces of information that are meant to be or give instruction to your security officers or staff working on site. So we have an example here of post orders for the day shift on Monday through Friday. So if I click on this, there's a list of post orders. And I can hover over here and I can see when it was created and the last time it was updated and the user that did that. Post orders can actually only be created or edited by a user that has the appropriate permissions. So there's another post order here, supervisor level 2. Now this post order is only going to be able to be viewed by users who have that supervisor level 2 access level. And there can be multiple post orders. Next, I'll move on to service. Service is just meant to be a piece of useful information that can be attached to a location, and it can be for things such as like what type of services you actually provide. And here's a good example. This one is titled On-Call Static Guard Alarm Response, and it's just some generic information about the services that, say, my security operations are providing to this location. Service will be dispatched by the main office, document clock in and out, arrive and depart from home for travel, billing, pay times. So this is just general information. This one is for management level, and it has an access level rating for level 3. So that means that regular users won't be able to see this. And importantly so, because this one has some information about the cost or billing related to the location and the services provided. So services are not mandatory, but they can be used, and they're great for helpful pieces of information. Move on to tasks. A task is basically a to-do, and it's attached to a specific location. Again, tasks can have an access level. So there are 3 tasks in here: lock parking lot gates, unlock parking lot gates, and then verify on-duty staff time cards. This one is meant for supervisors, so it has an access level of level 2. If I go down here and I click on this lock parking lot gate, and I see it says daily, nightly at 10 p.m. That means I need to do it every day at 10 p.m. So if I click complete, I'm a security officer and it's 10 o'clock, I can put some notes, lock gates, and I'll save it. Now notice down here, it shows me some helpful information. I click on this, it'll show me all the times that it's been completed. And it'll also show me a report link that it was completed in. So if I click on one of these reports here, I'll get taken to that report, and I can see that the task was completed here. Tasks also can expire. There are no expired tasks for this location, so let's create one. So if I go in here and I click Add Task, go to Title, One-Time Task, and there's an occurrence, and I can say once, do this once. I have the option to show this in reports if I want it to be attached to a report. I can do that, and I can also set an expiration, meaning if it wasn't done once by tomorrow, then it will expire and it will move to that expired list. So I'm going to save this, and the occurrence is once. So I can clear this, meaning I didn't do it, I just moved it to the completed or expired, or I can complete it. So what I'm going to do is at the top here, because I checked that box, it can be cleared in a report. It says this task can be completed in a report. So I have the option to actually select a report here to complete this task, or I can hit skip and complete task, and I can click save. Now that task moves to the completed expired list. Self-explanatory. I'm going to move on to the info. We have contacts. These are useful information for security officers that are working on the site. Now contacts have an access level also. So for example, if you have somebody like the property manager's number or email address under the contacts, and you don't want all your security officers to see that, you may give it an access level of level 3. I can also mark one as a primary contact just to give this star indicator here that it is a primary contact. Move on to files. Files can be uploaded, property maps and those kind of things. Move on to the map. This is going to give us a Google map, give us some more helpful information, and I will move on to the reporting tab. The access log. This is commonly referred to as a truck log or a visitor log, depending on the location. You may use these. So I can say resident number 310 visiting friend. I can save that, and it shows that this person came in at this time, but it still doesn't show an out time. So if I click back on it, I can make the out time a couple minutes later, and then it shows that this person came in at this time and that they left at this time for a total visit of 2 minutes. This can be useful for a location that has trucks coming in and out and have to check in at the gate, or many other situations like that. Move on to the BOLO submodule. BOLO is be on the lookout. So what we have here is we have, it looks like 2 active BOLOs, and then we have an expired list. There are no expired. Let's look at these active BOLOs. We have one, fence jumpers. This is an indicator that there's no priority. It's a P0, so it's information only. There have been people jumping the south fence during events, and it's going to expire actually in 21 minutes, meaning that it's a little outdated. It was created about a month ago from this recording date, and it expires in 1 week from now. So if I can create a new BOLO, we'll follow this template here. Aggressive dog. A tan and white pit bull has been seen on property. Very dangerous. I can give it a priority of low, and it automatically will be set to expire in 30 days from now. So if I save that, then we see the BOLO here. BOLOs are really useful for passing on information. Maybe if there was a shooting or a series of car break-ins at the property, passing on information through BOLOs from one security officer to the next is very useful. So if your organization uses dispatch module and it's activated, you'll see the dispatch submodule underneath locations here, and this is going to be a list of dispatch for the location. You can click on them to see more information about the dispatch. That's helpful. You can also actually create a dispatch directly from this location. And I'll move on to reports. So this is going to show a list of all reports that have been tagged for this location, and if there are any different report types. So for example, if I only want to see vehicle patrol reports, or if I just want to see all location reports, I can do that from here. This list is going to show any in progress, reopened, or pending review reports are going to be at the top of this list no matter what their date is, and then everything else after that is going to be in descending order. So I can actually create a report directly from here as well, and I can walk through this. It'll auto-populate the location. So if I go back to this location here, I'm actually going to go to the drop-down and I'll click Create New Location. Some of those modules that I have activated here are service types, where you can select what kind of service that you're providing at the location. We have different groups. So we have an example in this demo account, USA Properties, and that may be a property management company, and we can group all their, if we have many properties that are for a specific property management company, maybe we want to put them in a group. We can also add a zone underneath there, and then we can add a location image for that. So those are some helpful things that we can do. And then these groups over here, if I click on USA Properties, I can see the list of all the properties that are underneath that group. So that's it for locations. If you have any questions or you're looking for some more help, check out the support docs on the website.